everybody. We started this session with a bit of a crisis, because I'm not Mark Huis in het veld, but I'm Arjen Struijk. And Mark Huis in het veld was originally going to host this session, but I'm stepping in. So his crisis is my advantage, so now I get a place on stage. We'll be talking about how retailers are the driving force for the success of Climate Neutral Certified. We have a retailer with us, Arjen Struijk, who will tell the story of Plus and what they have done. But we've also got a lot of experience in the room. So I really want to invite you to, during this session, think of reflections or questions that you have, because I mean, it's very easy to say there's more knowledge in the room than on stage, but it's always true. And please, let's use that knowledge to have an interactive session with each other. To organize it slightly, we have 2 moments of questions. So please write your questions down or keep them in your mind. And then at the point of time in the presentation where it fits, then we'll start with them. Before I start introducing myself, I want to ask Sanne, why are you here?
Hi, my name is Sanne Dallinga. I'm a carbon advisor at Climate Neutral Group. I've been working with companies in the food and agricultural sector for quite some years now. And I'm super happy and also proud to now work at Climate Neutral Group and to work together with these companies on the most urgent and most important topic I find of this time, and to help them and support them on their way to climate neutrality. And I'm very happy that Arnold is here today to show his insights and also to show you what is possible and what the steps are that you can take. So I'm very curious about your questions, any comments or your own insights. So if you have them during our 2 question sessions, then I will come and meet you with the microphone so you can ask your questions.
And why are we using microphones? Because these sessions are all recorded. Otherwise we would probably do it without. Thinking of this session, I went back to my former life and I was Captain Peanut Butter. For the Dutch people in the room, this is Calvé pindakaas. For the people who may not know it, it's an iconic brand in the Netherlands, and actually every child in the Netherlands is grown up with this peanut butter. It was part of the Unilever company, and I really had big problems with retailers, because when I was doing that job, the price war was going on, and they decided where my jar of peanut butter was. They decided how big my jar of peanut butter was. They decided the price of my peanut butter. And while doing that, they started copying my peanut butter and putting that at the best place. So it's actually quite funny from that experience and my sort of aggression towards retailers that I'm now really happy to be here with a retailer on stage and actually speak about the force that retailers have in changing the retail landscape. And I think consumption and Thomas Rauw has also talked about that. Consumption is really a big part of the footprint we have as people. So I'm really happy to be here and start to explore, now actually where I was sort of fighting the force of retailers, now start to explore the force of retailers for doing something good. As we are talking of climate neutral certified food, I will briefly. Okay, so for this is the session. I will introduce shortly the climate neutral certified standard. We will not spend too much time on that. If you want to know more, we'll do that after the session, but I think it's good to have the basics with you, and then we'll have the interview with Arnold. And at the end, we have a small celebration. It's no longer a surprise, but we have a celebration which involves orange juice. So please don't drink it all, because then we have something left for the celebration at the end. Basically, the approach, Climate Neutral Group, and basically now the world has adopted to doing something about climate change is that you look at footprint as a first step. So you start to explore what's the data underlying the climate change effect you have with your product or your organization. Then make a reduction plan based on that. There is a possibility to offset, and we will talk about offset also in the standard a bit more. because it's something that's sometimes criticized, but I think also in the standard you will find that it's really an important element of reaching climate neutrality and fighting climate change. And then, of course, this session is about certification, but it involves 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So I think the climate neutral certification program, it was established already in 2012, but we've made a big change to it in 2020, where we actually made this reduction part. René has also talked about it in his opening speech this morning, where he said, okay, the reduction part is really something that's essential. Offsetting alone cannot lead to climate neutrality. There's a lot of talk in the market of climate neutrality, and some people claim it. And sometimes it doesn't involve this reduction part, and that's where offsetting can become quite get a negative connotation. So very shortly, the standard has this reduction component as a mandatory, and on top of that we have organized certification bodies to actually check if the work that's being done by parties is correct. So it's not that Climate Neutral Group says you're climate neutral certified. No, we have certification bodies actually determining that, and we will also speak on that with Arnold. At this point in time, the trademark is present in 21 countries. René already mentioned it's 14 million products. He's probably right. I think this is an old figure. It's increasing very fast. And we now have 16 companies using the logo, and Plus is clearly one of them. So what does the certification say? How does it work? It actually starts with your point 0, the start. That's your insight phase. So the number 1 we set in the 1, 2, 3, 4. Your footprint, and you set an ambition for yourself for with your product or your organization. So you say, okay, we have an ambition in line with the Paris Agreement. So for products, it's 25% in 2030. For companies, it's 50% in 2030. Some people may be aware of SBTI, science-based targets. Science-based targets can also be used to determine a target for your company. That basically tells you the line you have to be on to be in line with the Paris Agreement. But it's nice to have an ambition. Science-based targets is really about setting an ambition, and it's also very important to have an ambition. But an ambition without a plan is nothing. So then the certification program helps you to develop your reduction plan in line with this trajectory and monitor on that. I was already talking a bit about offsetting. Why is offsetting so important? I think if you go out to the world and you say my product is climate neutral, and you reduce, in this case, 2.5% per year, it's actually, you're also saying I'm reducing 2.5% a year, but I'm taking the next 20 to 30 years emitting the rest, which is quite strange if you go out and you say you really want to fight climate change. So of course it's better to spend more time on reduction and being more aggressive in your reduction slope if possible. Then you need less offsetting. But in the case, there's always a remainder of your emissions. And if you want to go out as a company and say we're really fighting climate change, then please make sure with offsetting that you don't put any more CO2 in the air in the meantime. I think it really helps your credibility if you say as a company, I'm really proud having a climate neutral product or being a climate neutral organization. I think for time reasoning, I think this is an impressive list. You basically see that we started in the Netherlands. We've been very dominant. The certification has been very dominant in coffee. After 1 or 2 years, having 25% of the market, with a lot of help from retailers, Super Unie and Ahold Delhaize, a coffee company that was already mentioned. Then we moved into other countries and we moved into other products. And now, also with the merger with Anthesis, we are really working on making this a global trademark. From a legal point of view, everything is in place. We have the trademark, it's registered, but now the opportunity is really to go outside of Europe. I think questions is after this, so very well.
Hi, could you please introduce yourself shortly?
Sure. My name is Deborah. I'm the founder of Soilbeat. I was wondering, you said that the brands or the companies, they define their own targets. So doesn't that make it also quite low threshold? Because they can define their target as something very minimal, and then they're still climate neutral certified. So how do you make sure that those targets are really ambitious and really advancing and moving the needle?
Yeah, so the...
They have to follow the...
Yeah, no, I was actually wondering if I'm going to invite here, and I am going to do that. The certification, the scheme holder is here, so that's Ellen Brouwer. She's, you're not the scheme holder?
No, not me, CNG.
Okay, CNG is the scheme holder, that's right. Do you want to answer it or should I answer it?
Sure.
Yeah?
Hi, nice to meet you all.
So my name is Ellen Brouwer. I've been with the Climate Neutral Group for over 3 years and have developed the program. Actually, it's not completely voluntary. So there are imposed targets and they are described in the standard. What we did add though last year is because of the merger also with Antises, and Antises has a lot of clients that are already working with the Science Based Targets Initiative, so SBTI. And we wanted to recognize their efforts. So what we have done, we have sort of established a recognition program. If you already have science-based targets defined in the Science Based Targets Initiative and are compliant with those, we will adopt those as well. But that is a whole separate trajectory, and it's not an easy trajectory to comply with that. So that is what we are adopting. So brands or certified clients, it's not like a free ride, no, sorry, no.
Well, the mic is here, it was good. My question about your approach, product approach, rather than organizational approach. So how do you, I mean, some of the names that you put on the previous slides, these are just minor, insignificant product lines for some of those coffee companies, for example. So it's easy to fall into, I have a product line, I have my message to the consumer, but in reality, I'm doing very little because it's just that marketing piece that will make the work. So how do you approach product versus company certification?
I think it's actually quite nice to, in the talk we have with Plus, how they have decided to do this, because the way you're putting it is that it's quite easy to do a small product. Actually, we see completely the opposite. So normally companies go for the biggest product because they have more exposure. So we see something different happening there, but we'll also talk about that with Arnold. Yeah, there are rules. When can you be a climate neutral company, and when do you go for product certification? If your company is very small compared to the footprint of your total scope 1 and 3, you're probably familiar with that. So you're really including all your products, then you're not allowed to go for organization certification. So there are some, yeah, that goes quite deep. But there are rules in the certification that do not allow for this to happen.
Hello, I'm Sandra Mulder from WWF Netherlands, and I have 2 questions about the scheme. Well, the one that you asked was also very relevant, but one is, we always say in the steps, indeed, reduce, and then make your energy greener, and then offset. Is that second step of us also included? And the other question is, if you take coffee, is it also included the energy used by the client who makes the coffee at home in its... I think it's scope 3. I'm not an expert on climate. Is that scope 3? I think so. Or 4?
It would be a scope 3. So on your first question, green energy would be seen as a reduction measure. So it would be so yes, you can split it out. You can say I have reduction measures and I have green energy. We say in reduction, I mean, yes. So it's in there, but it's in the reduction part.
But so you could also do all the reduction only by green energy and not really reducing. Is there some maybe? Well, maybe it's too technical. But
these are the discussions you start. So that becomes quite, and these are the discussions we have when developing this scheme. What's best? So not using the energy or using green energy. For a company, it makes more sense not to use the energy. I mean, also the business will. The CFO Thomas was talking about would say, okay, use less. From a climate perspective, you could argue that reduction and green energy. If green energy has indeed a zero emission, because not all green energy has a zero emission, but has a zero emission, it's close.
Yeah, well, let's not debate it. But I think we should, in general, reduce more and more. Making it green is great, and we should do it. But the first step should really be reducing, I think.
Yeah. Well, I would agree.
I don't see it's the same as but okay.
I would agree. On the Can we do another question? And then we get to the coffee, over coffee. Yeah?
Yes, Mark Nooy, I have also my own company. 2 questions in one. How is the communication to consumers? For example, is it the certification on the packaging? And it goes back to the first question, what is the promise made to consumer in one simple phrase?
This product is climate neutral certified. And then you get the question, what is it? Because even if I say it's an apple, you can have a discussion, what kind of apple is it? So that's the same for all words. And we'll show an example of Plus how they communicate it. Because the communication becomes more and more important also in this time and age. And we actually have good examples from the Plus group, how they've been doing that. So there's a bit of inspiration in there, how it can work. Easily speaking, the more transparent, the better. And there are minimums, but yeah. Shall we? I think that's, yeah, we continue. Well, Arnold, this is your moment.
Thank you.
Let's swap mics. Here you have this one. Where's the other one?
It's hard.
Welcome, Arnold.
Thank you.
What do you do and what brings you here?
I will introduce myself. I'm Arnold Struijk. I'm 38 years old. Today's my birthday, so thank you. The birthday of Climate Neutral Group and the birthday of me, so you can remember it the following years. Yes. 20, yes. Also. I live here in the Netherlands, in a small village nearby Rotterdam. And I live there with my wife and 3 children. And I work for Plus since 2020 in the position of category manager fruits. I think the most amazing position in Plus. But who am I? So enough about myself.
Let's talk a bit about Plus then.
I will tell something about Plus. Plus is a supermarket in the Netherlands, founded in 1928. In the meantime, the name changed for sometimes, but since 2001 we are Plus. And Plus is our unique organization, retail organization in the Netherlands, because we are our entrepreneurial cooperative. So, and that's unique in the organization in the Netherlands, that the entrepreneurs owns the organization. We have at the start of this year we had 268 stores, and in the meantime we are in a merger with Coop. Coop is another supermarket organization in the Netherlands. And the Coop stores will get Plus in this period. That will take a 3 years, I think. But in the meantime, we have already 320 stores in the Netherlands with the name Plus, and that will go on till 2024. And after that, we have a market share of 10-11% in the Netherlands.
So what makes climate neutrality and maybe sustainability as a broader thing, why is Plus interested in that?
De slogan, de main slogan of Plus is Plus zorg voor goed eten voor de buurt en voor elkaar. That's a Dutch version. In English that is Plus takes good care of good food for the neighborhood and for each other. That's not only quality of the products, that's not only the taste of products, but that's also the sustainability of products. So we take care of the world, that's our DNA. The question you had about what it needs to be in your DNA, because otherwise you cannot start with that. So we are also aware of the climate change in the world. Thank you. Because there are more crises on this moment, and we have the crisis of COVID-19 and the recession. But I think that kind of crisis will blow over. But climate change, it exists nowadays, but also 20 years ago, and it will be 20 years in the future. So I'm sure that's something we need to focus on. Otherwise, you see things like this, and this is already going on. And we need to take care of our world.
Okay. There were some questions on certification and how does it work, and why did Plus decide on going the certification route?
Maybe a better question is, why did we choose Climate Neutral Group for this? And that's because of the certification. There are very many parties in the Netherlands. There's not a promotion for a Climate Neutral Group. There are very many parties in the Netherlands which pretends that they can make your products climate neutral, but not certificated. And in the last years, there's a big discussion in the Netherlands about the several climate neutral claims.
The different climate neutral claims.
Yes. There's a discussion, and also some retailers and some other parties needs to put back their climate neutral claim. And because we are certified by Climate Neutral Group, we have no problems with that. Our other thing is we can use the brand of Climate Neutral. So the logo of the Climate Neutral Group, we can use it on our products. So it's also a recognition for our customers. It's on our coffee, on our tea, on our bananas, on our pineapple, on our juice now. So that's why we work together with Climate Neutral Group.
I think the question, there was one question, why companies could decide on doing a small product and then really, well, sort of shouting out. Yes. Can you tell us how Plus has approached the selection of what products to start with? What were the underlying ideas?
Now, when we do this, we want to make impact. We want to live up our slogan, Plus takes care of good food for everyone. So that's why we want to make impact. So the first article we started with was bananas. And bananas is the most big article of a supermarket. And bananas was already a sustainability icon for Plus 10 years ago, or 10, 11, 12 years ago. We started with fair trade, and we needed to make a new step, and then we started with bananas on a climate neutral based. So that's why we choose big products to make impact.
Okay. I think we have something here, which I know is a carbon footprint. Can you explain what we are looking at?
Yes, this is the carbon footprint of the pineapple. This is a very useful tool for us because it's very helpful to make a reduction plan. In this case, we see directly that transport, packaging, and fertilizer, these are the biggest emission makers for this article. So when we want to make impact, when we want to reduce on this article on the pineapple, then we need to go further with transport, with packaging and fertilizer to make impact.
Okay, I think we will get to the next slide then to answer the question, what have you done?
What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Maybe that's a better question. You see here 2 pineapples, one with a crown, one without a crown. The crown on a pineapple has more or less no function. So it's not taking care for freshness or quality. So you don't need it. What we are going to test is that we are going to cut off the crown by the farmer, so we can put more pineapples in one box. When we do that, we need less boxes, less pallets, and we need less transport. And in that way, we can reduce our emissions with 12.5%. So that's our mission now.
Okay, when I said you already implemented it, you went, no, we haven't really implemented it. How is this difficult?
This is not difficult. The customer is difficult because the customer needs to know why we are doing this and why the crown is off. Maybe a good story for this is: do you know that some customers buys a pineapple only for decoration? They put it on the fruit bowl. They do nothing with that, and 3-4 weeks after they put it away and they sell a new one. So when the crown is off, customer will say, "Oh, what are you doing? My decoration is away." So that's exciting to let know the customer what we are doing, why we are doing, and so they know I buy the same pineapple, but we cut off the crown for a reason.
I think we get to the point of communication, and I know we have an example in here. So can you take us through it? What you have done in the communication of the climate neutral bananas?
Yes, I will take some bananas from there. Yes, thanks. Because transparency is also an important thing, not only for the carbon footprint or for climate neutral, but also to let the customer know, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing in the chain? And for the chain of bananas, also for other chains, we don't have to hide anything. So what we did, we made the whole chain, we made transparent. So the customer knows what we are doing, and it's also a reassurance for the customers. Okay, what Plus is doing is good.
Does this one work?
This one works, yes. It's also on the bananas, but maybe you can get your telephone and scan this QR code from the screen. I will also do that. So,
I think to go back to the question of communication and transparency, I think you cannot be transparent enough.
Does it fit?
It's reflecting on the screen. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I understand. Do you have it?
No, the reflection is on the screen, so we can't.
Here you are.
Just pass it on. Now, so with the question on communication, I think you cannot be transparent enough. The problem is you do not have endless amount of packaging to put it on. That's normally the discussion we have with retailers. Yeah, it would be very nice if you talk about the projects you do, if you tell a lot about the product itself and the journey it has had. And I think this is an example how Plus has solved it.
Yes. When you have scanned the QR code, you are on this page. Please click on this button. Ontdekt de reis van de banaan. Explore the trip of the banana. And then you can put in a code. Please make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will also do that. Select a date, no problem, but what kind of date? Go further, and then you come here. One, two, three, four, 5.
What can we see?
Okay, here you see the trip of the bananas from harvesting, transport, ripening, the place in the stores, and also the last step on the freight wall by the customers. So, and what you also see on this is how many emissions we have every step in the chain. So we don't have anything to hide, and also we want to let know the customers what we are doing.
Okay, maybe before we go to questions in the room, we have Paul Crew with us. He's CSR director for the Anthesis Group, the company that we merged with. But I just asked him, can you say something about the retail landscape? And he said, yes, I'm actually a retailer. So, Paul, can you maybe, because this is very down-to-earth Dutch situation, supermarkets, can you maybe say something about the global trends that you see with regards to this subject?
Yeah, thank you, Arjen. Thank you, Arnold. Yeah, so before I joined Anthesis, I was a CSO of Sainsbury's. So, and before that, Tesco. So I've spent probably 20, 30 years in retail. So, yeah, it's very difficult to get the baked bean cans out of me. So from a global perspective, you know, I spend a lot of my life in the retail world today, helping organizations to be the best they can be, but also in FMCG as well. And for me, the change has been palpable over the last 2 or 3 years. And that's around consumers really demanding to know about the products that they're eating, why they're important, and to have clear understanding. And for me, that's becoming more and more evident with the retailers that we support in Anthesis. I happen to sit on something called a Consumer Goods Forum, which is where all the world's biggest producers and retailers and manufacturers sit, and I'm actually an advisor to that group. And this is so much so that there is a working group now absolutely focused on transparency in the supply chains, right here and now. And there's a number of reasons. One, consumers are demanding to know and want to have choice edits in the things that they buy. And there is a challenge because there are so many myths and legends and minefields and unclear levels of activity. And the question was earlier, how do you differentiate and allow retailer A to set their own standards versus retailer B? And how do you know what's real and what's incorrect? And we're finding that now there's so much litigious activity taking place where you have organizations that are really almost like investigative journalists challenging products and whether that be non-food or food, is irrelevant to the claims that retailers and manufacturers and producers are actually talking about their products with. So I know that this type of independent, verified solution is being sought after at a huge rate and scale and pace because of that fear of not being able to truly, transparently share the claims and credits that those organisations are putting those products in the marketplace. So for me, this is fantastic. It's fantastic you're taking some leaps in faith along with other retailers. But this is the start of a huge event in transparency, and this is only going to continue.
Thank you, Paul. We just got the 5-minute message, which doesn't really allow for more questions. So we'll stick around after the session, and we can have some time for that. I think we overran in the previous session, and we're now paying for it. But so let's ensure that we have a final chapter in this presentation, that we get to that, and afterwards we'll be here for further questions and discussion. So Maud, please come on stage. Okay, I think the surprise is a bit gone, but there was a big announcement this week that Plus has added another climate neutral product to their portfolio. And this is why Maud is here.
Yes, I'm Maud from Direct Source, and we're the supplier of Plus for citrus and grapes. Before I start the story about climate neutral, it's maybe good to know the background story, why I am here. I started working at DSI 5 months ago, and on my second day of work, I had a meeting with the climate neutral group. So it was the first thing, my first project at the company. And then I realized how much work there is to do in our business, because most companies don't do much with sustainability yet. So that was very interesting, and I started to work with Ellen, I see her there at the back, and Eleanor, which isn't here today, and Mark. And they were just great advice, consultant for us, and also Arnold, who's even on his birthday at Climate Neutral Group. So yeah, maybe it's good.
How did it? Can Arnold, Maud, can you say something about how this worked? Is it like Arnold calls you and says, "Well, Maud, you're going to be climate neutral," or how does this? And are you then enthusiastic? How does it work?
Maybe I can say something about that. Well, DSI knows our sustainability projects, so they said, okay, how can we involve in that? So it was a good situation. It was not this time the retailer, but this time it was the supplier who asked, how can we help you with making a product climate neutral, and with what kind of product do we have the biggest impact? And then we decided to go for the juicer oranges.
Okay, so what have you done in the last half year, Maud?
Yeah,
5 months.
Yeah, 5 months. Yes. So I'm from not the marketing part of this. That's Geke did the marketing. So I'm a commercial. So it was also new for me to. So I started actually with all the data, which is the technical part. I like it. I'm from the accountancy. My previous job was all numbers. So for me it was fun to do. And later on I started, which I'm doing now at the moment, to contact all the suppliers which we get our product from. The difficult thing is that from all over the world. So it's from South Africa, Egypt, Morocco. And they don't want to get their own calculation, their cost, too open. They don't want an open cost calculation because there's a lot of competition. So it's really difficult to start somewhere. But for now, it's just research, contacting all the persons, and just create the awareness at the suppliers, but also in our company, that we need to do something with sustainability. The awareness isn't always there, so that's why it was a really good thing that Plus had it on their supplier day yesterday and the day before for all the stores. Yeah, so it was really good and very enthusiastic reactions, I thought. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So maybe more specific questions you can ask one-on-one. Maybe that's easier if there are any questions.
I think time-wise we are there.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think we can create a photo moment if everybody grabs a orange juice.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I didn't know that. So
Let's try and make a
yeah.